Welcome. This is Kringle Kim, and welcome to my amazing Kringle gift broadcast on October 19th, 2018. It's Friday night tonight, and let me tell you, whoops, excuse me. Let me tell you, and you live in Arizona, it's dry skin, dry hair, dry everything. And after a lovely few days of 70 degrees, it was 90 degrees today. But it's also been a very exciting day here in Arizona, at least for me here in the United States. And as a citizen of Arizona at this time, our President Trump flew into Sky Harbor Airport last night and landed at 9:30 p.m. And they actually showed it on our local news. Unfortunately, no one that was there to greet him, which I thought was probably a, I don't know why our governor wasn't there, or even our Senator potential Martha McSally, but I know it was late for the president because he had come from the East Coast and stopped and done a rally in Montana. And I'm sure by the time he arrived here in Arizona at 9:30, it was probably 12:30 a.m. the next day this time. Anyway, it was an exciting day today. I live by Luke Air Force Base, and in Goodyear, Arizona, there is a whole story behind Goodyear, Arizona, that goes way back to World War I and the Goodyear Tire Company. And during World War I, when there was a trade embargo, yes, there were trade embargoes back in World War I. So in 1918, there was a trade embargo with Egypt, which is where the Goodyear Tire Company would would buy all their cotton that they would put in the tires back in that day. So back in the day, car tires had cotton in them. So they were unable to buy any cotton from Egypt over there in Africa because of World War I. So they looked around the United States. Here they were based in Detroit, because that's where the first cars were built. Detroit, Michigan, United States. And they looked all around the United States for weather that's just like Egypt. And so, surprise, surprise, they found out that the Phoenix, Arizona valley, we are actually a valley between four mountain ranges. It all used to be an inland sea, and the four mountain ranges surrounding it were like little islands at the time. Now the inland sea is gone. We still find, petrified shells and petrified animals and stuff in the sand around here. And now that's why it's so flat in the Phoenix Valley, what they call the valley, because we are surrounded by mountain ranges. Anyway, they came out here, the Goodyear Tire Company came out to here, to Arizona, and they founded the town of Goodyear. And at the time, the Pima Indians were our Native Indians, our Native Americans that have been in the Phoenix Valley since about 200 BC. And the Pima Indians had built a number of, they had done a natural dam on the Salt River, probably 2,000 years ago. And they built these, when I lived in California, we called them arroyos. Here they're like irrigation canals. And so when Goodyear came here, they met the Pima Indians. And of course, this was just after Arizona had become a state. So the Pima Indians were the ones that supplied the water and taught them how to grow the cotton here in the desert. And I think Surprise, Arizona, that's where the word surprise came from for a name for a town, because it was a surprise long before air conditioning that anybody besides the Native Americans would live here. So anyway, that is how we acquired the town of Goodyear, Arizona. And whenever you go to a store, I don't know if you gentlemen notice, but any of you ladies listening, or maybe some of you gentlemen, if you've ever heard of clothing, or especially sheets, they'll say they're made with Egyptian cotton or Pima Egyptian cotton or Pima cotton. Well, that is cotton that is grown here in Arizona. And it's not actually from Egypt. It's from the Egyptian the native Egyptian plant that was grown in Egypt was brought here to Goodyear in Surprise, Arizona. And we are surrounded by fields of cotton and bare root roses. That's another big item that we have here. And Luke Air Force Base then was built out among the cotton fields, I believe back World War II. And for many years, it has been where they have trained all the fighter pilots for the F-16s. We now have the F-35 stealth planes that are being, the pilots are being trained here for them also. We also have many other countries that train their pilots at Luke Air Force Base. I believe we have the Air Force from Thailand, and a couple other countries too train their pilots on the F-16s here. So it can be a very noisy place, but to me it's the sound of freedom. Because when they even start up one airplane, you know, you can hear them start that engine miles and miles away. And then they take off. And of course, it's so fun. I don't need to go anywhere else to see like a Blue Angels show, because it usually happens right over my house, sometimes on a daily basis. But anyway, to get back to President Trump was here, and he had a meeting out at Luke Air Force Base this morning. And of course, the F-16s all warmed up this morning, and possibly the F-35s. And it was very noisy. But they were all up in the sky, some so high you couldn't see them. But they were all up in the sky flying. And I know they were probably showing off for the president and also keeping the skies safe around Luke Air Force Base for his visit. And he did sign a memorandum, which was very interesting. Even though he was not in California, he was here. Several of the a couple of the California senators and a senator from Oregon and Washington State were all here, because he signed a memorandum to do away, well, I shouldn't say do away, it's probably going to do away with some of the Environmental Protection Acts. But I know my family lives in California. My grandchildren live in the Bay Area, and my daughter and my son-in-law. And so I often go between Phoenix and San Jose. And as I'm driving across, of course, I drive across a lot of desert. And then I drive up the Central Valley in California, what's called Interstate 5. And for many years now, like the last 10 years, you know, it used to be you'd go down of Interstate 5 and it would be green and lush, and they would be growing almonds and pistachios and apricots and cherries and tons of grapes. And for many years, they weren't getting any water. And so everything died. You'd be driving up Interstate 5 and there would be nothing as far as the eye could see, because none of the farmers were able to get any water. And I know my children and my grandchildren living there, even this year they've been rationed water very strictly. And I know when I lived in California, we were rationed water very strictly. And come to find out that there is a lot of water in California, and they have been sending it out to the ocean. All this fresh water just going out to the ocean. And there's been whole, like the San Joaquin Valley, the Central Valley, a lot of communities have not had enough water. And so the president signed a memorandum today that will allow new infrastructure to be built for California, Washington, and Oregon to allow new facilities to be built to supply fresh water to all the Central Valley, San Joaquin Valley. You know, I mean, the whole West Coast is a phenomenal growing region, not just for the United States, but for all over the world. And I know a lot of the farmers, between the state tax laws and the water laws, were going broke, losing their farms. It's been terrible. To me, it was another thing of the, what we call in our community, the elite, controlling the outcome, you know, controlling what people were able to do. And I guess a president hasn't even visited the Central Valley, or some of these places, they said, since 1969. So that has been 50 years ago, almost. So this was a phenomenal thing, and the president did give credit to the senators. It was their bill that they brought forth in our Congress. But it will not only make a difference for California, Washington, and Oregon, but it will make a difference, like I said, many people in the world, because now there can be a lot more plentiful food. Now, some environmentalists will be unhappy. And I realize it is important for us to protect the environment too. But the president assured everyone that those environmental concerns were also being taken into account. So there were ways to save the environment and protect, you know, the species that live there, but supply water, which is plentiful. There are a lot of mountains in California. And I know when it rains here in Arizona, it may not rain here in the valley, but it rains up in the mountains. And we have the washes just come, you know, 10, 12 feet of water. You know, we have these rivers that look dry. It'll say Agua Fria River. And you're looking at this barren desert, but there's a bridge over it. But when it rains up in the mountains, those washes come down and they'll be 10 or 12 feet deep instantly. So I think this is our president making good on another one of his promises. And then, of course, there was a big rally here. And with all the negative things I hear in the news about the president, I have always thought a job as an American, especially, you know, is to respect the office of the president. And so even though the media is very negative, there was 35,000 people waiting in line to see the president talk today. So that was very, very encouraging and exciting, and I think a great day for Arizona. So moving forward, I thought, you know, at the same time, you know, he has redone the NAFTA deal, the North American Free Trade Agreement, which was, I never thought, a good thing. And he has worked with both the past president and the current president of Mexico, and with the Prime Minister in Canada, Justin Trudeau. And they have come up with a totally new agreement that Canada, the United States, and past and present president of Mexico are very happy with. And that, I believe, is called the USMC, which is like the United States Marine Corps, but it's United States, Mexico, and Canada. I think it ends with an extra C. Canada Coalition or Corporation or something. Anyway, moving forward, I think that is also going to raise the energy of our planet. And then there is TBC Kringle. And, you know, it is a great mission, unlike others. I mean, I think what our president is trying to do, and I loved the one YouTube video I saw on him. You know, there are lots of things going on in the world, and he is criticized a lot, but our president has been operating from a position of peace. And our military, our U.S. military, and our U.S. military has not started any wars. And I know my dad was in what he calls the Korean conflict, and of course the Vietnam War were actually not U.S. wars, they were United Nation wars. And so even at that point, the United States joined the war to keep peace, to prevent North Korea from, all of Korea having to become communist. I mean, that was the truce, was that part would be communist and part wouldn't. North Korea would be communist, South Korea wouldn't. And my dad has always said he wanted to live long enough to see the truce fail. But he's very pleased to know that all the hardships and all the people, the United States Americans that died in the Korean War, which most of our children don't even know anything. It's called the Korean War, but it's actually the Korean conflict. There was 4,000 servicemen that died one winter at the Chosin Reservoir, froze to death, starved to death and froze to death. But he is so happy, as I'm sure we all are, to see that North Korea and South Korea are starting after all these years, at least 60 years, 62 years, to, work together again. And I truly believe the president is operating from a position of peace, not only for the United States, but for the world, because this not only affects the United States, but the world. And so it's good to be empowering our military, not so they can control other countries, but so that they can promote, I guess not promote, but keep the peace, hopefully, in some countries. So, and that I know is part of the TBC Kringle mission, is to end global issues. And global poverty is the main one, but when we end global poverty at the same time, we'll be ending things where people don't have the correct health care, or people will not need to commit crimes to survive, steal from one another, just unable to survive at times. I mean, one of my sayings is, there but the grace of God go I. I mean, you can't judge anybody for some of these things, because what would I do in that same position if I was trying to feed my family and take care of them? And so not only is TBC Kringle mission to end global poverty, but bring up the world, to an energy of peace and love and helping, caring and sharing among everyone. And when a billion member goal is reached in TBC Kringle, like I know Admin has said, and I say, that will be a powerful group of people that can change the world. So this blog is, where is your voice What is the desired result we want? We need to become unified around the solution. The elite have been very successful in their divide and conquer campaigns against humanity. So successful that they have managed to put all 99% of all the wealth in this world in the hands of the 1%. They have brainwashed the 99% to fight amongst ourselves while they have robbed us blind. They divided us by color, race, religion, politics, sexuality, and even by the sexes of male versus female. Actually, the list of divisions is much greater than that. We all have in common as 99%ers is that we want to live. Staying alive seems to be the one thing all of us have in common. When you come to the realization that our effort here is to protect our very lives as living beings, you will find the passion needed to stand united with your fellow man and work together on the solution together, and it will be easier to put aside the things that may divide us. Eliminating the gap in wealth between the 1% and 99% is a powerful solution. The elite laugh at the poor that beg and cry. The elite are all very wealthy millionaires and billionaires, but not all millionaires and billionaires are elite. The elite don't laugh at the millionaires and billionaires that oppose them. They take them seriously. Why is that? We are rolling out a TVC Kringle economy that will have 1 million billionaires and a billion millionaires, and you are invited to become one of them. And surely the world will take us seriously. Do you want to be taken seriously? How much opposition can you do towards evil without power? Spiritual power is most valuable, but only a tiny few people will find that power because the required purification is much more than most are willing to pass through to obtain it. So rolling out a new private economy full of millionaires and billionaires is a reasonable solution under the circumstances today. Time is short, and yet there is plenty of time remaining for us to achieve that now. Our foundation we have laid out towards this achievement is strong enough to complete our mission before it is too late. And this is where we all need to be aligning in the same mindset of ending global poverty, being positive, raising our energy from negative to positive. Just even putting a smile on your face, not only for everyone else you might come in contact with, it raises your energy for yourself. Put that smile on your face, and people will hear it over the phone, possibly over Facebook. I know I have done a lot more on Facebook lately than I ever have before, and I have come across a lot more negative things on Facebook. I have been trying, as TVC Randy taught me, to, hopefully my Facebook page is uplifting things, but on the negative things, I used to just pass over them, and now I find I am writing a comment to that person that is being negative. And I am commenting on the negativity in a positive way. And it's very interesting. At first, they will come back with more negativity to me, and I will stand my ground. And now I'm doing it in a loving, positive way. And now they are coming around. It's like they are awakening. And that is good to see. Because like I tell them, I don't need any more negativity in my life. And I ask them to please be a part of the solution instead of the problem. So right now, if we have 3.3 million members now, and if we can all have that positive energy, patient, positive energy, which is so exciting and uplifting, we will change the world with that energy also. So we have 3.3 million members now and a database of over 18 million that have signed up in Kringle Cash. So that's where a lot of our broadcaster leads come from. There's looks like about 15 or 14.7 million that still need to pay their admin fee so that they become full verified members of TBC Kringle. Hundreds of thousands have paid the admin fee, and we could do a much better job of activating our newest members. And that's where we're finding the biggest growth now, is our new members and our 24-hour and 48-hour rapid cookie reward. Our CR gathering process is very successful within our first 2.5 years. We just need to do better in activation. So I want you to look upon the next chart with fresh eyes and see how close we are to our objective of 1 billion members, and that we are only a few more steps away. We have grown exponentially, and we will continue to grow as such. So if you figure that 2.5 years ago, there was very few members in TBC Kringle, and now they have at least 18 million in 2.5 years that have received, either purchased TBC or received the gift of Kringles, and 3.3 million members of those are verified or have paid their admin fee. So if we could even just get the people that have been in TBC and connect with them and help them get their admin fee paid, we could raise the value of our coin and the positive energy abundance in our world, 14.7 times. I want you to look upon it. Okay, we have grown exponentially, and we will continue to grow as such. Now, this chart admin is talking about is the massive growth campaign chart, and it's there on the I believe it's on the dashboard, and it talks about the massive growth. And there's the blue column, the green column, the yellow column, the red column. And right now, in our massive growth campaign, we're looking at the red column, and there's 10 steps in it. And of course, it's exponential. That's one of us connecting with at least 10 other people, and each of those 10 people connecting with 10 other people, and making sure all these wallets are paid. And I know sometimes people I have shared the gift with are very excited to receive the gift, but I need to prod them to share with other people. So we are in step number 7, which is 1 million people, and we have 3.3 million. Now, each of those 3.3 million people shared with 10 people, we would even keep give a few steps. So we're only 3 steps away from the 10th level, which is 1 billion members. So that is how easily this can go if we all work at it. So exponentially, do you see how close we are to the finish line? I'm sure this is surprising to some of you using fresh eyes to see this. And I hope you have been inspired by the updated Kringle Society mission statement that makes it so clear that humanity is capable of lifting itself out of the morass of poverty, disease, lack, limitation, suffering, and ignorance into a new dawn of abundance and prosperity for all. And I do feel blessed to live in the United States, and I feel the United States was created with a similar goal, so that people, I know most of us here in the United States, our ancestors were immigrants, and I know probably upset the Native Americans very much, but much like the refugees of today, many of our ancestors were refugees and were badly persecuted in other countries. And in the hundreds of years or 100 years or whatever, many of them, I call us all, Heinz 57 Americans, a lot of us, because there's been a lot of back and forth, and unlike one of our senators, some of us are, 1/16 and 1/4 and 1/2 different places of origin. So, and not only that, have a mission statement. They had a dream. They visualized the goal, turned the dream into the goal. And now the goal is the United States of America. And like TBC Kringle, started with a dream, a mission. It is now a goal of 1 billion members, and that is being achieved. And then when that is achieved, it will be like a whole new world, a whole new community unto itself. So I'm very excited about everything. I could feel the energy rise here in Arizona today with all the people being positive, and I hope that energy spreads to anyone listening to my broadcast through me. And I hope you all have a very great weekend. And this is Kringle Kim signing off. Good night.